This message is not for everyone. If you've been silent while others misunderstood you, if you've carried weight no one saw, if you've watched people fill in lies because you refuse to speak, this word is finding you on purpose. You didn't announce yourself. You didn't explain your pain. You didn't defend your calling. You stayed quiet, not because you lacked words, but because God commanded stillness. And while you obeyed in silence, something shifted. Someone was watching. Someone was calculating. Someone was connecting dots they were never meant to see. And when they finally connected those dots, sleep left them. There was a season when your silence was completely misunderstood. They thought you were unaware of what was happening around you. They assumed you were confused about your direction. They mistook your restraint for ignorance. But heaven knew the truth. You weren't quiet because you had nothing to say. You were quiet because God was rearranging you internally. You were in a season where words would have disrupted the process. A season where explanation would have delayed elevation. A season where defending yourself would have exposed you too early. You didn't disappear. You were hidden. Scripture declares, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." That secret place wasn't comfortable. It was lonely. It was confusing. It felt like being overlooked while everyone else advanced. But what you didn't know was that your silence was training your discernment. Because in silence, God teaches you how to hear what isn't said. If you ever felt like you don't fit into this world, like God set you apart, hid you, or took you through battles nobody else understands, this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Don't scroll. Subscribe so you never miss a word God may be trying to send specifically to you. But there were eyes watching from the shadows, and they couldn't explain why your presence disturbed them. There were people around you during that season. Some were close. Some were smiling. Some called you friend, family, even brother or sister in Christ. But their spirit was restless around you. They couldn't explain why your presence disturbed them. They couldn't understand why your growth intimidated them. They couldn't articulate why your restraint frustrated them. So they watched. They noticed how doors opened for you quietly. They saw how favor followed you without noise. They observed how you survived things that destroyed others. At first, they dismissed it as luck, coincidence, temporary blessing. But patterns emerged. They started connecting dots. Why did you recover so fast after betrayal? Why did you rise again after being discarded? Why did God keep restoring you when you should have been broken? Not everyone watching was motivated by human jealousy alone. Some attention came from spiritual opposition, a sign to monitor, a sign to discourage, a sign to report back to the enemy. You sensed it, didn't you? Something was off in certain relationships. Smiles felt forced. Questions felt like interrogations. Support came with conditions you couldn't name. You fought the urge to confront. You resisted the need to expose. You chose to remain silent and trust God's timing, even when everything inside you wanted answers. Why do they keep asking about my plans? Why do their questions feel like investigations? Why does my blessing seem to burden them? You didn't have proof, but your spirit knew. And deep down, the watchers realized something terrifying. You weren't just surviving. You were being preserved. That's when fear began growing in them, because survival itself became evidence. Your restraint exposed their intentions without you speaking a single word, and the patterns became undeniable. What they saw next terrified them, because it confirmed something they hoped wasn't true. The moment they connected the dots was subtle, but irreversible. It wasn't one big event. It was accumulation. They remembered how you warned them, gently, how you walked away without revenge, How you didn't celebrate their downfall, but still advanced. How your words proved true months later. They replayed conversations. They revisited moments they mocked your faith. They reconsidered the times they underestimated your discernment. And suddenly, clarity hit them. You weren't naive. You were obedient. You weren't passive. You were protected. You weren't delayed. You were appointed. That's when sleep started leaving them. Because once you realize you misjudged the chosen one, your spirit knows you crossed something eternal. Here's what you didn't know. Someone close to you, a family member, a trusted friend, had been feeding information to others. They thought they were making harmless observations, small comments about your plans, updates about your struggles, details about your growth. But they were helping build a case against a destiny that was never meant to be stopped. The betrayal ran deeper than you realized. Yet God kept you hidden from full awareness, because knowing too early would have made you bitter. Knowing too soon would have distracted you from your preparation. So he let you sense it without seeing it. He let you discern it without proving it. He protected your heart while positioning you for what was coming. Meanwhile, conviction began in the watchers, not from your words. You never spoke, not from your actions. You never retaliated, but from God's quiet revelation to their conscience. Some of you listening right now know what it feels like to carry a spiritual burden the world can't see. If this message is touching something deep within you, something you rarely talk about, subscribe. You shouldn't walk this journey alone. There are others chosen like you, and this channel is where you'll finally feel understood. But what they never saw was the war the chosen one fought in secret, the nights no one witnessed, the prayers no one heard. What they never saw were the nights you cried alone, the prayers you whispered through clenched teeth at 3 a.m., the spiritual attacks that came through dreams, being chased, drowning, losing everything you loved, the sudden discouragement that felt like a weight pressing on your chest, the thoughts that questioned every promise God ever made to you. You fought battles no one applauded. There were moments when heaviness tried to convince you that you missed God completely. Moments when doubt questioned your calling. Moments when isolation screamed louder than every prophecy spoken over your life. Did I hear God wrong? Why is everyone advancing while I stand still? Is this calling even real, or did I make it up? Strange delays blocked every breakthrough. Relationships suddenly turned cold without explanation. Physical exhaustion hit you with no medical reason. Doors closed without warning. People withdrew without cause. The enemy tried everything. But every time he tried to bury you, God used the pressure to mark you. You learned how to war in silence. You learned how to praise without an audience. You learned how to forgive without receiving closure. You learned how to trust when nothing made sense. You learned how to stand when everything within screamed, "Give up." And that scared hell, because a believer who can fight quietly is dangerous. A chosen one who doesn't need applause to keep going cannot be controlled. A warrior who doesn't announce their weapons cannot be disarmed. What you just heard may feel painfully familiar. The rejection, the hidden attacks, the strange isolation, the spiritual warfare nobody believed you about. If this resonates, subscribe. Not because you have to, but because your spirit deserves a place where all these battles are finally acknowledged. No chosen one should fight alone. And while you were winning wars in secret, the Watchers were about to enter a season they never anticipated. The restless nights had begun. Now they lie awake. Their minds replay everything. Their consciences grow loud at 2 a.m. Their spirits become unsettled without explanation. They wake in the middle of the night with anxiety they cannot name, not because you did anything, not because anyone exposed them, but because God revealed something they cannot unsee. They see your growth. They sense your covering. They recognize the authority forming on you, and it terrifies them. Dreams come to them now, dreams where you appear in positions of authority, dreams where they reach for you but cannot touch you, dreams where their words fall flat while yours carry weight. The same information they gathered now becomes their burden. Private conversations get overheard. Hidden motives become visible to others. Alliances they build begin breaking apart. God began bringing things to light, not through your hand, but through His. You didn't confront them. You didn't expose them. You didn't even know the full extent of what they did. But the God who told you to stay quiet was now speaking loudly, without your involvement. This is divine vindication. Chosen ones don't need revenge. God handles exposure silently, but completely. Now you're receiving confirmations. Names are being revealed in prayer. Dreams are showing you who is truly with you and who is against you. Your discernment is sharpening to recognize counterfeit connections before they get close. You don't celebrate their downfall. You actually pray for their redemption, genuinely. But you also understand something new. Proximity doesn't guarantee access anymore. Not everyone who is close deserves to remain close. Some relationships were assignments against you, not blessings for you. And as the watchers lost their peace, you stepped into something you never experienced before. A shift so profound, even your presence began to speak before you opened your mouth. This is where the story turns. Because while they're losing sleep, you're entering clarity. You're realizing that your silence was never submission. It was strategy. God was teaching you restraint because where He's taking you, your words will carry weight. The quiet season is ending, but not into noise, into authority. You've stopped explaining your calling. You've stopped chasing validation from people who never understood you anyway. You've stopped begging for acceptance from those who only tolerated you. Now you move differently, not louder, not boastful, but anchored. Your presence speaks before you do. Your obedience unlocks rooms you never knocked on. Your discernment protects you from counterfeit connections before they get close. Doors open without applications. Favor arrives without announcement. What the enemy meant to delay you actually matured you. What betrayal tried to destroy refined your discernment. What isolation attempted to weaken strengthened your intimacy with God. You didn't lose time. You were prepared. The same people who doubted your silence are now disturbed by your peace. The same ones who mocked your hiddenness now cannot ignore your emergence. Some watchers remain restless, unwilling to repent. Some reach out, conviction leading to confession. Some disappear, unable to face what they did. You extend grace where possible. You maintain boundaries where necessary. You trust God for complete vindication. Hear this clearly. Your quiet season is ending, but not into noise. It's ending into authority. God is about to use your story without your permission. Your obedience will speak in rooms you've never entered. Your faith will confront spirits that mocked you, and those who connected the dots too late, let them stay awake, because you were never meant to be understood by everyone, only recognized by heaven. Stay aligned, stay humble, stay covered. The God who kept you quiet is the same God who will vindicate you publicly. And when he does, you won't have to say a word. If this message spoke to the wounds you carry, if it reminded you that being chosen is not easy, but God handpicked you anyway, subscribe. Join a community that understands your journey, your calling, and your spiritual battles. Don't miss the next message God may be using to guide you, strengthen you, and confirm what has been whispering to your heart.